Yes, I supported Bernie in 2016, in 2015 actually. Yes, but hey, here I am. Stop judging me with Bernie. I'm my own person. Let me be me. Tulsi Gabbard, I haven't heard too much from her lately, so I was wondering what's up with Tulsi Gabbard. Luckily, somebody sent me a clip of Tulsi Gabbard, which pushed me down a rabbit hole of finding new appearances. Tulsi Gabbard was on MSNBC where she had an opportunity to actually speak, which is a rare thing. Doesn't happen that often with Tulsi Gabbard. You know, there's always like smear questions. Ask her a question that's been asked 100 times before and try to hope that she says the wrong thing. You know, like try to catch her. Yeah. Catch her, try to knock her off her game. That's what all it seems like that's what they all do. Well, finally, it was a breath of fresh air, man. Finally, someone blew a hole in the side of the barn and some fresh air got in the barn.
Also seeking her party's nomination. Congresswoman, thanks for your time on this Friday. I do appreciate it. Let's start with Joe Biden. Let's start with the vice president here. Now that he is in the race, what does that mean to your candidacy? How does that affect your strategy?
We're continuing to drive forward because I've got an important message that I think is resonating with people across this country. You know, I'm a soldier. I've served over 16 years in the Army National Guard, and that's actually how I got to know Vice President Biden was through his son, Beau Biden, who was also in the National Guard. Through my experiences in that service, deploying twice to the Middle East, serving in Congress for over 6 years on the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs committees, I know how important the responsibility that the president has to be the commander-in-chief, to make sure that our country is safe and secure. And I know firsthand the cost of war. So as president and commander-in-chief, I will end the regime change wars, this new Cold War and nuclear arms race, work to end these things so that we can take the trillions of dollars that we've wasted for far too long on these regime change wars and invest it in serving the needs of the American people, help to provide health care for all, to rebuild our infrastructure, to improve our education, to serve these needs that people all across this country are very much struggling with.
You mentioned the regime change wars, and you've talked about this a number of times on the trail. You did 2 tours, as I understand it, overseas. Yes. There are roughly 14,000 service members who are still in Afghanistan today. There are another 5,200 in Iraq right now. What's your plan for them? If you were to be elected, would all of them immediately be brought home? And if not, how long would they stay?
Oh, well, let's look at Afghanistan, because Afghanistan and Iraq have been different situations. In Afghanistan, we do need to bring our troops home. We're in the 18th year of this ongoing war that when we really look at it, what has been accomplished other than the tremendous and unfortunate loss of thousands of American lives, countless Afghan lives, how many people have been injured and wounded and are dealing with suffering because of this ongoing war that really hasn't gotten us anywhere. We're in a position today, right now, where, you know, the Taliban is negotiating with the Afghan government to broker an agreement to go forward. Really what we've got to look at and how our troops are being used to serve this country is they need to be sent on missions that will keep the American people safe. That is the purpose of our military. And that's why we need to stop these regime change wars that have gone on for far too long, and unfortunately that this administration wants to continue. And you see these regime change efforts being pushed by people like John Bolton and Mike Pompeo and President Trump in places like Venezuela and Iran, where they're beating the war drums, getting ready towards that eventuality, something that they've been advocating for a long time. These are actions that make our country less safe and take a tremendous toll on our troops, on our military families who see their loved ones deploying over and over and over again. And it takes a toll on the American people every time they're told, we don't have enough money to make sure that there is clean water for people in Flint, Michigan, or in other parts of the country. We just don't have enough money to serve the needs of the American people, when in fact we do. It's just a matter of getting our priorities straight.
Another familiar and popular face in this race, of course, gentleman we were just talking about, Bernie Sanders. You endorsed him during the last presidential run back in 2016. You actually left your post at the DNC to endorse him. What's different this time around? Because based on what I've heard and read, you and Senator Sanders are very similar in terms of your politics.
Yeah, well, I made my decision to run for this seat long before Bernie had made his announcement, and I did so for some very important reasons. You know, back in January of last year, there was a huge wake-up call in this country, and especially in my home state of Hawaii, when we got a text alert that went across over 1 million phones in our state. I'm sure you remember this. You guys reported on this. It said, "Missile incoming, seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill."
Right.
That was a terrifying incident, causing families and loved ones to wonder where could they go for shelter? Where could they be safe from a nuclear missile coming towards Hawaii? There was a father who contacted me after this whole thing saying, you know, I was in the middle of the island of Oahu. I had one child on one side of the island, another child on the other, and in that moment thinking, I have just minutes to live. Which of my children do I go and spend the last minutes of my life with? An impossible question to answer. But what this brought home, even though that alert turned out to be a false alarm, the reality is the threat is real. The threat of nuclear attack or some kind of nuclear catastrophe incident is real. And that's why I'm running for president, to bring the experience that I have of both serving as a soldier as well as serving in Congress for over 6 years on these armed services and foreign affairs committees, to work to bring about an end to this new Cold War and nuclear arms race and work towards keeping our country safe and, once again, taking the money that we've been wasting on these regime change wars and weapons and investing it in serving the needs of our people.
Congresswoman, as you know, Senator Sanders said this week that prisoners, all prisoners, should be able to vote, including, quote, terrible people. A number of the other 2020 Democrats disagree with that. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I disagree with his statement there for a couple of reasons. I think it is important, as we're seeing some of the states make changes now to allow people, felons and others who have served their time, to regain their right to vote. But one thing that we've got to look at as folks are incarcerated or serving their time is the dangers of power being abused, whether it be by prison guards or wardens or others, to try to influence or direct the votes of those who are in prison one way or another. So I think it's important for us to focus on making sure that.
I don't understand that. Help me understand how that could be a thing.
Well, you've got people who are in positions of incredible power, telling people when they can eat, when they can go to the bathroom, when they can go outside, when they can do this or that, access, taking away access, giving them access to certain things when they're in prison. And with that power comes room for abuse. So if you're saying, okay, it's voting day today, and you allow for that power to be abused to say this is the way you're going to vote, I don't think that's right.
So you're opposed to restoring the voting rights of folks who are incarcerated, in part because of concerns over corrections officers using that as a tool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the campaign so far. As I understand it, according to some of the most recent data we have, you've raised just shy of $2 million. In the first 3 months of this year, there was just one full-time paid campaign staffer. A lot of folks watching and listening might think that does not appear to be a presidential campaign that's being run with a great deal of seriousness.
Yeah, well, the reports you've read are misrepresenting our strong, yes, lean and mean team who are working very hard in different parts of the country.
So you have more than one
continue to build
full-time paid
momentum
staffer.
that's growing in our campaign. Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have some who are working part-time. We have many amazing volunteers who I want to give credit to, who are working tirelessly in places like Iowa, New Hampshire, and California, and across the country, as we continue to focus on bringing our message of really putting service above self to the American people. That's really what we need to do to get to the heart of the challenges that we face in this country.
Why haven't you been able to raise more money?
We're continuing to raise money, and I'm grateful for the supporters who have stood up, both those who are giving $5 or $10, or those who are giving contributions in larger amounts, people giving what they can because they believe in the kind of change that we're seeking to bring in this country. I just got an email from someone yesterday who said he is in his late 70s. He is dying from cancer, and he is giving whatever he can to our campaign in the hopes that he can play some part and some role in changing our foreign policy to bring about an end to these wasteful wars that have cost us so much and lead us down a path towards a peaceful and brighter future.
Congresswoman, as you know, the Mueller report, it made clear in no uncertain terms that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. NBC News reported earlier this year several experts who track websites and social media linked to the Kremlin have also seen what they believe may be the first stirrings of an upcoming Russian campaign of support for one Tulsi Gabbard. There have been at least 20 Gabbard stories on 3 major Moscow-based English-language websites affiliated with or supportive of the Russian government. That was a higher number than the number of stories about Joe.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. It was a long clip anyway. He did pretty good all the way up to the end, didn't he? Yeah, man, all the way up to the end. He had to do this smear thing, you know. No, we can't let this be a good interview by our standards. We have to somehow interject and say something, throw something out there to hurt her. As if Tulsi Gabbard has any control over what a website based in Moscow puts on its website. It's sort of like the guilty by association thing they do where they say, well, this person likes you, therefore you are horrible. You know? Like, I got a lot of great people to watch the show, but I'm sure I got at least one person who watches the show who's not so great. Can you really judge me based on that? Come on, man. Can you judge everyone who listens to, I don't know, Leonard Skinner? Every Tupac fan isn't cool. Come on. All right, so anyway, Tulsi Gabbard, I think she did a good job here. She, started off doing she started off with the typical 16 years of service, the cost of war, and guys, I've watched so much of Tulsi Gabbard's television appearances, I can almost say them myself, what she's going to say. But I always have to remind myself that she's hoping to reach new people. And when you got something down and it works, it resonates, she's going to continue to push that. So she needs to own her lane. So I appreciate her doing it. I think it's very smart. Tulsi Gabbard talked about something I didn't know, that she had already decided to run well before Bernie Sanders. So it's not as if she's always having to prove, hey, I'm my own person. Yes, I supported Bernie in 2016, in 2015 actually. Yes, but hey, here I am. Stop judging me with Bernie. I'm my own person. Let me be me. Can I step out I got a dad, please. I don't want to be in the shadow of another dad. I'm cool. Let me be me. So I can respect that. She talked about Biden's son. When asked about Biden, she was very complimentary, I would think. No, not complimentary. She was careful. Okay? She sees that Biden... look, guys, it's called politics. I know people hate politics, right? But Tulsi Gabbard doesn't need to go attacking Joe Biden. Instead, she pointed out something, a relatable fact about the reality is Joe Biden's son, Beau Biden, who recently died of brain cancer, they both served. They're both veterans. So she I think, uses that as a point to say there's a connection between us two when it comes to military service, which is also smart politics. Please recognize politicians do politics. This is the part we all want to get to, right? Tulsi Gabbard, when asked about the Bernie Sanders comment made during the CNN town hall about felons getting the right to vote and incarcerated people getting the right to vote as well. Tulsi Gabbard takes a break from Bernie Sanders and says she doesn't agree. And I'm just gonna, how can I say this, folks? Her rationale for why she doesn't support this, we need to think about it for a second. She does not support people who are in jail getting the right to vote while they're in jail because they can be coerced by, trustees or coerced by prison officials to vote a certain way. Like they're going to be threatened, like they're going to take away good time or, put them in the hole. I don't know, guys. I don't think we're living in a time where we can just say, the prison guards are not going to let you vote. I disagree, okay? I disagree that that's a reason why people in jail shouldn't be able to vote. If anything, we need to clean up the jails. There are other countries that let people in jail vote. That's part of the reason why they have better jails, because people in jail get to vote. They get a voice. When you take a voice away from many people, you can ignore them. Would there be 40% of homeless people who are working, right? Would the homeless people be neglected like they are in America if they were not silenced? That's what voter ID, that's what voter suppression is all about. Keeping people quiet, that way their voices are heard, that way it takes away their power. If you had to treat prison inmates better, prison inmates would be treated better. But as long as you take away their voice, then people can ignore them all day. Politicians pay attention to squeaky wheels. If you have no influence in your electorate, then no one pays attention to you. I do not accept Tulsi Gabbard's response here. I get it, why. At least she has a reason. She has a reason. A new reason, a reason I hadn't considered, but that doesn't mean I agree with the reason. I can still support Tulsi Gabbard and disagree with her on one point. But what I will not do is to just say, I agree with it because it's Tulsi Gabbard and I like her. I don't agree with Bernie because I like Bernie on this issue or because I like Bernie as a person. I don't know Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know Bernie Sanders. Neither one have brought me a cup of coffee. Okay? Reality is, anyone you disenfranchise loses a voice, and we need to give voice to people in prison. When you have as many people, you have the most amount of incarcerated people of any westernized nation in America, they should have a voice. I'm sorry, they should have a voice, guys. We lock up more people than any other country that's similar to the United States, Sweden, Australia, Germany, keep naming places. And those people have no voice, and you think that is just by accident? That's why they're locked up. That's why so many of them are in jail. That's why, because they have no voice. Poor people, first of all, poor people vote in such a declined number, it's ridiculous. In 2012, 40% of people who make less than $50,000 vote. 78% of people making over $75,000 voted. Convenience, accessibility, time off from work, all these things play a part. We really need to become educated on the tricks that are used to control us and disenfranchise us. But let's move on. Raising money. Tulsi Gabbard, $1.9 million. She's going to need more money, guys, if she's going to be competitive. It's hard to be competitive when you're not given the opportunity to go on bigger stages. So him asking that question, I wish Tulsi Gabbard would have said, the more times that I appear on corporate media would help, and a less adversarial approach, where I'm able to spread my message without being encumbered by question after question that I've already answered, trying to tear me down or trying to tear down my message, where it gives me opportunity to talk to the American people. I think that's, and that's the reality of it. If Tulsi Gabbard's put in front of more people, she would raise more money. It's a catch-22. Okay? What else? And I already pointed out at the very end of it, he did a little smear job on Tulsi Gabbard. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know, the whole, hey, on 3 Russian websites, they've been promoting you. Oh, okay. At least somebody is. I mean, that's really what you want to say, right? Well, I wish you guys would. Every time I look on MSNBC, hello? Hello, is my mic working? My mic's not working. See, as soon as she would have said that, every time on MSNBC, except this time, you smear me, and now you're doing it. You're bringing up Russia. You're smearing me now. All right, guys.